Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's live Q A with Dede. Welcome to the Invincible CEO YouTube channel. This is your wish fulfilled playground, and every Wednesday we go live. Sometimes we go live here on YouTube, and sometimes we go live in our private nurture group. And here we are today on YouTube with a wonderful topic of 0 point activation. And we are really going to take a deep dive into 0 point tonight to answer all of your questions. So we just give a few moments in the beginning to have everybody come on board. I just want to make sure that I have all my different computers going here so that I can see your questions coming in from all angles. Give me 1 second there. Here we go. All right. So we have lots going on. I see that we have some wonderful people here already with us. If you are here, post a comment in the live chat. Let me know who's here, where you're viewing from, and what questions do you have tonight about 0 point. 0 point is so powerful with manifestation. And we are really going to take some time tonight to build some foundation, because not only are we going to go into the conceptual overview of what 0 point is, I'm going to do my best to take you into it while we're on the live tonight. Now, these kind of lives where we can't actually interact with each other on screen, I can't hear your voice, have some limitations to it. So we'll do the best that we can here. But as you're coming on board, don't be shy. Let me know who's here. Let me know where you're viewing from. And let me know what questions you have about manifestation and 0 point, because we are going to get them answered tonight. I'm looking for them to come up into my view here in the chats. Okay, while we're waiting for everybody to come on board, let me go over a few pieces of housekeeping, because we have a lot of fun things happening right now. Today, the Deep Dive into the Now course went live. It's just the beginning of the information that's in there, so that if you're interested in learning more about the Deep Dive into the Now, the whole 30 video series here is on YouTube. What's extra in the course is that I'm making extra workbooks, and I'm putting certain videos in there that just don't fit here on the YouTube channel, just because they wouldn't make any sense. So there's the 3-minute activation of 0 point, the 6-minute activation of 0 point, the 9-minute activation of 0 point, all in the course that are not here on the channel. But there are at least 4 or 5 different videos on 0 point itself, especially in the Deep Dive series, which is episode number 4 and episode number 5. So you can always go back and revisit those also. The other thing that I did want to share is that we have our 2-day private event online this weekend, May 18th and 19th. It is Jump Off into Your Wish Fulfilled. Not only will we'll be going deep dive into the now and doing 0 point activation there, but we will also be creating a jump off wheel, a wish fulfilled wheel, and a connector wheel. So when you walk away from this 2-day event, you will have a 3-month roadmap, because we're building strong foundation so that you can't get it wrong, but you can make it long. And we no longer want you to make it long. All right, so let's get started. And once everybody gets here, they can join in with their questions, because I did have some questions sent over. I have them listed over here, and we're going to go through them. So before we get into the actual 0 point, I kind of want to lay a little foundation of why the 0 point is important. And I don't know, maybe about a month and a half ago on the channel, I did a video called The 3 Little Piggies of Manifestation. And if you're familiar with the 3 Little Piggy story, it's about the 3 little pigs that build their house. And the first little piggy builds the house out of straw, the second little piggy out of twigs, and the third little piggy takes his time and he builds a brick house. He builds a strong foundation. And what I see with this story, this kid's story and manifestation, is what happens a whole lot in the manifestation world. And I want you to look at manifestation differently. I want you to see it as a new skill or a new talent that you're developing. So there are some people, if we take the talent of playing a piano, can walk up to a piano the very first time and just play it like they've been playing it for 20 years. They just have that natural talent for it. And there's others that have to practice 20 years to get the same level of adeptness in playing the piano. And then there's everybody else that's kind of in between, right? And just like, if you've played the piano and it takes a little bit of practice and repetition at first until you get the feel of it, but once it clicks, it clicks. But if you give up prior to it clicking, you'll always be frustrated with playing the piano. And manifestation is no different, right? When you're learning to play the piano, there's just a couple songs, you just get them. You just get them and you don't even have to look at the music. And others, you're like overthinking and going too much into it, and you just can't seem to get the fingers in the right spot. Well, I see that a lot with manifestation. We all do it all day long. Right now, you are manifesting this live, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it on a repeat later on, a couple days later. You are manifesting it right now. And your mind is projecting out. So you had the thought, I want to watch this video. That's the conscious mind's job. It makes a choice. The subconscious comes in and then it populates the choice so that it can play out. So with this understanding, when I see people coming into conscious manifestation, because you're doing it all day long, your ordinary mundane things are being manifested. When you got to fold the laundry, you're manifesting folding the laundry. When you're driving your car, you're manifesting driving your car. I see some people on board. Don't forget to say hi. Let me know where you're watching and what your questions are. So as you're understanding that all you're doing all day long is manifesting, before, even though your eyes were open, you could say you were conscious, but really you weren't. Now that you're getting into this conscious manifestation, in the beginning, you may get a few direct hits right away. And that natural talent of what you're already doing, because to say that you can't do it or you're having a hard time is kind of crazy, because if that were true, nothing would be manifesting. You wouldn't be able to fold the laundry. You wouldn't be able to drive the car. You wouldn't be able to eat your food. It's all one manifestation after the other. But because up until that point, it was your normal, regular, natural human experience, you don't look at that as manifestation. So going back to our three piggy analogy, when you come in and you jump into just doing techniques, right? Strategies, tactics, you can call them whatever you want to call them. Even a broken clock is correct twice a day. You will get some hits. But when you want to go deeper into the manifestation thing, you got to build a strong foundation. Because if you take the time to build the foundation, that instant manifestation that you're working towards, like the moment that you say it, there it is, it begins to happen. But what the time and space, at least from my perspective, has been, is that when you're asking for that instant manifestation, you want it to show up. Can you handle that without freaking out? Because when I teach lucid dreaming, when you go into a lucid dream and you get real excited that you're finally lucid dreaming and you're in the dream and you're awake, it'll kick you right out. It will kick you right out, boom, and you'll be waking back up in your bed. We don't want that to happen here with manifestation. So I'll give you a quick example before we get into 0 point, what happened yesterday. I was creating a video, You're the Accidental Millionaire, and that went up yesterday. And right before I recorded it, I put my pups outside, I have a boy and a girl, and they go on a lead. And the boy always wants to come right back in. So I did a few things downstairs because I knew he'd want to come back in, let him back in and left my girl out. And I came up to my office to record my video, and I could always just look out the window and I see her and she's fine. She'll stay out there forever. And I call her the mayor of the neighborhood because sometimes people walk by and she always has to bark. But she has certain barks when her little dog friends walk by. And I was just wrapping up. She was so good. She didn't bark, though I don't know if you can hear them kind of barking in the background right now. She didn't bark at all when I was recording that video yesterday. But once I started to edit it, she went wild. And I was so deep in the editing that I really didn't want to stop what I was doing so that I could go and get her. So I kept saying to myself, remember to bring her in, remember to bring her in, remember to bring her in. Now I'm the only one home. There's nobody else here but me. And when I went out, later on, when I went downstairs to let her in, she was already in. Nobody else was home. She can't let herself in. And what happened there, and my mind does this for me all the time, it allows me to skip steps. It allows me to jump into different realities because it knows that won't freak me out. Now, how I know, and I could feel my mind searching, like, did we go in and I forgot that I let her in? What's going, like, it did that a little tiny bit, but I stopped it right away because I realized what happened. Because when I go to bring her in, it's always this little dance that we do. where she starts like smiling and starting like she's tipping over, like I'm falling. And then she rolls in the grass and I have to pull the lead. And it's this whole dance that we do. And I think I would remember that. I know I was very busy in what I was doing, but I don't remember physically going down the steps and letting her in. And when you start to allow your mind to do that for you, and you don't go looking and do a big investigation as to how did this happen and why did this happen, just it's the natural. This is how you start to jump realities in little bits. That's why I say to you that your mind is never testing you. You're not here to pass a test. It's just opening up the next level and how you handle it. Could you handle someone appearing right in front of you? Could you handle someone morphing, like beam me up Scotty, away right in front of you? And you say that, but your subconscious wants to keep the equilibrium. It wants to keep you safe. It doesn't want to get the body all worked up. So if those things will be too much for you, it will keep you in your natural human experience. But the more you allow this, and this is where 0 point is going to be really, really important for you on this journey, it allows you that safe haven to go back into if things get to be a little bit much. Whether you have someone screaming at you and you want to withdraw from that reality, or you want to have more what you would call maybe in the old reality supernatural things happening. They happen all the time. I don't know if I have it or I moved it. I had a baby sling show up in my house, in my bedroom, in a bag, where there has not been a baby or anyone with a baby in this house for years and years and years. Like things, just random objects just show up in the house all the time. And it's my sign that I'm in a different reality. Did I go looking? Hey, Marjorie, I see you there. Welcome. Do I go looking for the answers? No, that's the thing. You just want to keep moving forward. So when we get into 0 point, 0 point is the void state. Hi, Lilac Lotus. Welcome, welcome. Where are you from, guys? And Marjorie, I know where you're from, but you could always say, and Lilac, where are you from? And thank you for being here tonight. So 0 point is the point, I call it the creator state. It is the state before all states. And I'm going to try to give you some practical, tangible analogies and examples so you get what I'm talking about here. But in the Invincible CEO, what I teach is that there are these trinities. So you have the character, you have the hybrid, and you have the creator. The character is what we would say most people are in as they go about their day. And you shift different characters. You might be a mom or a dad, and then you go to work, whether you have your own business or a job. So you might be a manager or a business owner or an employer or an employee. And we go into these different states and we have uniforms and locations and all the different things all day long. You're a friend, you're a coworker, you're a sister, you're a brother, you're part of a basketball team, you go to yoga. So many different states of being, so many roles our characters play, but they all kind of weave in and out of the main character of whatever you call yourself, if that makes sense. Watching from France. I love that France is in the house, and I know that it's in the wee hours of the morning for you. So thank you so much for joining here. Okay. And the hybrid, you come out, you start to go to 0 point very naturally, but it's a very slight shift to hybrid. It's not total 0 point, but you start to come out of the story with a question or something that goes, something's a little off, right? A little glitchy, a little off. You're having a hybrid moment where you're still the character, but now you're questioning reality. And all you need is one question. You never need more than one question, because then that will put you into a new state. So think of a hybrid moment when you're driving your car and you come to a dead end and you either have to go right or left, right? There's a choice that's made, but once you make that choice, then you go back into a new character driving the car again, right? So you left that character that was driving, came to a stop, a choice had to be made at the hybrid moment, and then you went left or right, and then you continued on into a new character. So so the character of you that's sitting down always sits, and the character that gets up and stands is a different character than the one that sits, because she becomes invisible. If I were to stand up now, the sitting Dede becomes invisible, because right now the standing Dede is right next to me, but is invisible because I haven't occupied that state yet. Okay. So when you start to understand that we're a consciousness moving from state to state to state to state, or we could say from story to story to story to story, or character to character to character to character, The 0 point is coming all the way out, not just one question's worth. And there's many different ways that you can get to 0 point. But what we do here is we do a 0 point activation. You can do it in 3 breaths. The whole 30 deep dive in the Now series has every single episode we use the 3 breaths. But I recommend at least starting with 3 minutes of 0 point activation. If you guys have any questions as we're doing this, let me know. And as you're going into 0 point, what you're really doing is, even though you have this meat locker of a body, right? The meat locker, the shell, what you would consider you prior to this manifestation thing and consciousness, but all of this is you. It's everything is you and everyone pushed out, because the conscious mind chooses and the subconscious mind populates the choice of the assumption. The conscious mind announces the assumption and the subconscious mind populates it. It puts all the people, it's almost like the conscious mind announces the script, hands the script over to the subconscious mind, and it puts all the furniture, it puts all the people, it puts all the events, it creates time, it creates space, it does all of that. So that you, the star of the show, as we talked about last live, can step into the assumption and have it played out. The moment that you decide, regardless what happens, negative or positive, it's all part of the unfolding. It just lets you know where you are. There's a negative unfolding and there's a positive unfolding, but you'll always get to your done deal. Now, the one thing that I want you to say to yourself is the conscious mind does not manifest. It is not the manifester. It is the chooser, but it is not the manifester. And we give it too much importance, because think about this, folks. If the conscious mind could manifest, and you don't have your manifestation, 2 things are being shown to you. 1, it can't do it, because if it could, it should be there, right? If your conscious mind's coming in and giving some play-by-play narrative going, well, where is it? Why isn't it here? Why hasn't it happened? It should be here. Why isn't it here? There's been enough time. It's been too long. If it's coming in with that narrative and it's telling you something, then why isn't it delivering? Because it's not the manifester. If your conscious mind's coming in and telling you, if it tells me I'm doing something wrong, I stop for a moment and I say, okay, well then if you're telling me I'm doing it wrong, you must have the solution. Give me the solution. And then there's crickets, because it's an echo. And that's why I said you've never thought a thought in your life. You have all these echoes bouncing around in your mind, which is your echo chamber. So if your conscious mind, it either can't deliver because it's not here, but think about the opposite side of that. It can deliver and it's holding it from you. Because if it really does have the answer, why isn't it giving it to me? Why did it let me do all of that to only tell me that wasn't it? But then when I ask it what it is, it won't give me the answer, because it's not the manifester. And when you're giving the conscious mind all the importance of the manifester, you haven't gone to 0 point. My answer with all of my clients is, if you are having thought, you have not gone deep enough in the now. You are not in 0 point. How do I know that? Because when you go deep in 0 point, you know. And I don't want this to be a thing where it's another thing you beat yourself up about. Oh my gosh, I haven't gone deep enough into 0 point. No, just go into 0 point. And when you're in 0 point, this is the important thing. You don't think. You can't think. There's no thinking gone. In the true now moment, no thought is needed. It's unnecessary. It's totally unnecessary, because what is happening is happening. If we took you on a roller coaster and you're on the roller coaster and we're going up the hill and the conscious mind's going, why am I on this? I should have never, right? It doesn't matter what it's thinking. It doesn't matter that you should have stayed on the ground, because what's about to happen, what's happening is happening, and what's about to happen will happen very, very soon. So your conscious mind can't talk its way out of the roller coaster once it leaves the station. And what it can do, though, is take away from the experience of being on the roller coaster, because that's what you were there for. In manifestation, you're here for the experience, not the thought about the experience. As a personal trainer, we can sit here and talk about deadlifting. We can talk about breathing. We can talk about form. We can talk about how to grab the bar, how to lift, where you'll feel it in your body. but it doesn't mean a thing unless you go in the gym with me and I give you the experience. And then as you're having the experience, all those dots can click. So if you're just watching video after video and you're not going into the experience, this is one of the reasons why you don't have your manifestation, because you're being led by the mind that can't deliver manifestation. But it sounds very authoritative. It sounds very like it knows what I can't even think of the word. Like it knows what it's talking about, but all it's doing is narrating what's already happening, which is redundant. If you're outside and the sun is shining and the birds are chirping, you don't have to go, oh, the sun is shining and the birds are chirping, because that's what's happening and you're in the experience. So now with 0 point, what we're looking to do is let the conscious mind be. And if you sit in it long enough, the echoes stop. The echoes in your mind. I always say the echoes in your mind are like cars on a highway. You could just watch them drive by all day long and they have nothing to do with you. It's none of your business where people are going and why they're going there and what exit they're getting off of. It's none of your business. You could create stories about them from where you're sitting. This one's going to work. This one's coming home. This one's going to church. But you don't know that. Your conscious mind doesn't know that. Every thought opens up the reality that it represents. So I was having a conversation with a wonderful client earlier about manifesting a house. And if you sit in the assumption, I already own the house, that's a very different statement than why don't I have the house, or why is it taking so long? So this is what we do. We pick an assumption, we pick a done deal, we pick a wish fulfilled, and we say, I want that. I am that. This is me right here, right now. And I go, okay, cool. Let's go into 0 point. And then what happens is the conscious mind gets really bored, because 0 point to the conscious mind is very boring because it can't go in it. There can't be any thought in the 0 point. So your conscious mind turns into a 3-year-old when you're trying to get to 0 point, and it won't let you be. It's like, mom, come on, let's play. I'm bored. It's really like that. Watch me. And that's why you, as the operant power, when you start to invoke 0 point, remember the 3 little piggies, the piggy that builds the house out of straw because it's in a hurry and it wants to rush and it just wants it done. And I want to learn this manifestation thing. And why isn't it happening? And why am I not getting my stuff? The moment that the big bad wolf comes and start huffing and puffing, that's what the fear is, folks. That's what doubt is. But here's the really cool thing you may not have realized about fear and doubt. You need to have thought. You need to have a sentence. You need to have some kind of language thing coming in. Yeah, look what I can do. Exactly. So fear and doubt and wobble can only exist in the past and the future. It doesn't exist in the now. When you're in the now and you have a lion in front of you ready to pounce on you, or an alligator or a bear, that's what's happening in the now. Then you go and get out of that situation. But we've allowed the thoughts of a lion, the thoughts of a bear, the thoughts of an alligator to be just as real when you're sitting in a room that what's really happening now is boring, that nothing's happening. But we get ourselves all worked up in that state of being. When people say, I don't know how to get to a state of being. Oh, yeah, you do. You know how to get yourself worked up. Just let a whole bunch of thought come in. So 0 point is the state before the state. It's really going back into pure consciousness creation, realizing as you do it that you are life itself. We literally are slowing down space and time. And if you sit in it long enough, you could start to hear your heartbeat through your chest. You could start to feel your cells dividing within you. It's almost like you go inside of sound instead of sound being inside of you. And I know that there are some different recreational drugs that kind of take you to that place. When you're doing, say, mushrooms or LSD, what it's doing, it's breaking down the barriers of the conscious mind that have such a grip that it opens up the mind and allows possibilities in that would not be able to be seen otherwise. There's so much hidden right in front of you right now because the conscious mind and the statement that you're in, when you make a statement of, it's not here yet, or where is it, or I've been trying to manifest him or her for a year now. It didn't start a year ago. It started the moment you just said it. That's what the now moment says. Whatever you put into the now moment, it's instant. Because there's no time before this. I said this last week in the live, that if you wake up at 6:55 a.m., in your reality, there was no 6:54 because you were not consciously aware of it. Nothing can exist that you're not consciously aware of. So when did time begin? It began when you realize that you began your day. And you might not necessarily look at a clock. There is no before you opened up your eyes. And you might say to me, well, Dede, there's someone else walking around the house, even though they didn't wake me up. No, that's their reality. You're sharing a template. So going to 0 point, why it's crucial to manifestation is this. And we're going to use our $10,000 example again, because I like repeating the same examples over and over again. If you need to manifest $10,000 because you have bills to pay, you're in a reality that already showed you what it is. It is that I need $10,000 to pay bills. It never changes. That reality will always, it's not that I need $5,000 to pay bills. It's not that I have an extra $5,000 to pay bills. It's I need $10,000 to pay bills. And you can never, ever manifest $10,000 to pay the bills in the I need to manifest $10,000 to pay bills reality. Do you get the paradox there? So what you need to do is pull back out into 0 point and neutralize. When we're in the 0 point, we don't need nothing. We don't want nothing. We aren't anything. We are so still. And even though it appears like we're looking out our eyes and hearing out our ears and using our other senses as we're in the stillness, what we're really doing is we're stopping time and space, and we're letting it all go. And we're seeing that we exist and continue to exist without any of it. And we don't really need it, because in this now moment, if it was needed, you would need it right now. And look at you existing. And we will go into this state in a little bit. We'll do the 3 minutes here. So when you're in this state and you're slowing down space and time, and you've heard the quote, be still and know. The longer you can sit, and this is an open-eyed state, and the longer you sit in it, everything gets really soft around you, like you have a filter on a camera. And you go deeper and deeper into the breath. Because here's the really cool thing about deep breathing, friends, if you haven't realized this yet. When you are truly deep breathing, you cannot think. They cannot happen simultaneously. And the breath is the first thing that you took that you've been in control of your whole entire life. You can hold your breath and go against the subconscious. You can hold your breath and go against the conscious mind. We did that in episode 2 of the Deep Dive in the Now series. In episode 1, I took you deeper and deeper into one single breath. We kept doing it over and over, going deeper in consciousness and deeper in the now with it. I'm telling you, that series is amazing. There's 30 episodes, and I could have probably done 30 more. That's why we can't put it all right here, right now in this one live tonight. So highly recommend going into the Deep Dive series. But when you are deep breathing, if you can still think, you're not breathing deep enough. Go deeper in the breath. Go deeper in the breath, so that the breath is the only thing that matters in this now moment, because it really is the only thing that matters. Because with this deep breath, in this stillness, in this 0 point, you've pulled out of the old story. And that old story is like a balloon. It needs you to breathe life into it. And if you don't breathe any more life into it, if you don't go back to it, it will flatten. And then when you come out of 0 point, you don't even have to say words. You just pick up the balloon of the reality that you want to animate. And you know that you've made this choice. And you know now, even though the template that you're in looks exactly like the one you were just in the old reality, it's your jump off point. I was saying in a conversation earlier with a client that however many times you've gone to your car, you've never gone into the same car twice. It doesn't matter if you just got out and you go back in, it's a brand new car, because each second your mind is rendering a new version of that car, but it looks a lot like the old version that you expect. That's the assumption. If there's a little tear in the seat, that tear will be there. But if you start seeing it in your mind that it's no longer there, the mind will have to render that version of it, and you don't have to take it anywhere. Yes, it's definitely like a trance state, but it's a little bit different. I've done alpha and theta hypnosis and a trance state. This is actually staying in it even longer than that. Another way is when I teach people how to go lucid and to do a state from you're laying in bed and you never fall asleep. You let the body fall asleep. It's the same thing where you're stilling everything that's going on. And if you just stay in that state, you will then be put, I call it the amphitheater. At least that's where I end up right before a lucid dream. It's like a big movie theater. And I get to sit in one of the seats. And then the dream opens up, the curtains open up. That's kind of the soundstage my mind has created. So it's deeper than that because you don't lose consciousness. This is always done with your eyes open. And you become the breath. You can actually exit out of the body, but you don't have to. But you start to feel what would be your body come to life. Like I said, you start to feel the hair growing, your cells dividing. Like it's almost like you have an inside view of what's going on, except it's all being experienced through feel. And the deeper you go in the now, you realize how much surface level living you've been doing. Because with more and more practice, you can keep that heightened state and walk around and have a full day and not even have to think a thought. You will get so much more done and so much will be brought to you. Another way that I induce the 0 point state, especially if I want it to be something that lasts longer than just doing a 3, 6, or 9 minute. And really, you don't have to go deeper than 9 minutes, because when you're going into the 9-minute one, it may feel like 2 or 3 hours, but it's only 9 minutes. It's like that. I talk about clock time, psychological time, and simultaneous time. When we're going into 0 point, we're going into simultaneous time where all things are right there. And another way that I do this is water only fasting. Every Monday, I fast 1 day. Every month, I do a 3-day. And every quarter, I do a minimum 7 to 10 days. Because roughly around day 4, it used to be day 5 and 6, but now it's happening sooner. I don't have to shut my monkey mind down. It shuts down. And you go into a very different state of being. My longest water only fast has been 21 days. And when the energy is not given to the body from digestion, and what's really amazing is that I allowed the assumptions to show themselves to me, where I can run 8 miles. I can go lift heavy. I can do you don't sleep the same way anymore. You almost sleep like how an animal would. Like you're awake for 4 or 5 hours, you take a 20-minute cat nap. Then you have another 4 or 5 hours and you have a 20-minute cat nap, and you have more energy than you've ever had before. And what I like about water fasting, it's fast. It makes your manifestations come quick. There's a very short amount of time, just like in a lucid dream, from thinking something for it to show up. And that's why I love the fact that the monkey mind shuts down, so that you don't have all these manifestations showing up and going, what am I going to do with all this stuff? It really lets you know how overactive this conscious mind is. And all we're doing in the 0 point is we're saying we're the CEO. We are the chief energetic officer of our lives. And the mind now is the inventory taker. It has a smaller role. It's not the CEO. Up until the point of the manifestation, the conscious mind has been ruling what you do, and the script tells you who you are instead of you going, okay, I'm not in that script anymore. That's not what I chose. That's all I have to do now after a 0 point. If something shows up in my day, that's not what I chose. It would be like sending a wrong order back to Amazon. It's not a big deal. And right away, my mind corrects itself. So with 0 point, what I've been conveying in the videos on the channel, going back to our $10,000 example, we're not going to condition the $10,000 to come to pay a bill, to go on a trip, to invest in crypto. Whatever the story is, let the stories be. Let the 10,000 be manifested, because manifesting 10,000 is what's happening in the now. You just want the 10,000 to arrive, and then you decide what to do with it. But if you condition it, I need it for this, you're putting yourself in that reality and you're anchoring yourself into the reality where you don't have it. But if you take the importance off of the 10,000 and let the 10,000 be the story, because if 10,000 shows up, that's the story. Who cares what the backstory is? There's always going to be one, and it'll always be very legitimate for the reality that you're in. That's why when you hear teachers say, don't worry about the how, just pick the choice and let it go. And know very shortly, and if you want to quicken your times, you're going to go into the 0 point. But if you're manifesting something because you want to put out a fire in an old reality, the sitting me always sits. I can never make the sitting me stand. The sitting me doesn't even understand standing. So to try to get the sitting me to stand wouldn't make sense, but the standing me is always standing and it'll never sit. Just like the jumping you jumps, but the landing you lands. The seeking you always seeks, it never finds. You have to go into the finding you, right? The part of you that finds. And that's why if someone is working with me and they have something lost, I have them go all day long after 0 point, and they go into 0 point hour after hour to do a little bump, a little recheck to make sure that you're at 0 point. And whatever, oh, there you are. Oh, there you are. All the obvious stuff. Then we play Captain Obvious. Then we go into overmode drive, because we're bringing the two minds together. But until then, it's not needed. So 0 points totally neutralizes you. If you think about it from an artist's perspective, if you're drawing on a piece of paper with different color pencils and you keep erasing, it's so much easier to put that piece of paper aside and get a brand new piece of paper out. So the 0 point is the state before the state. And if I were to give an example, think of a glass. The glass is the container. Your 0 point is the container. And you pour water, which is the state of being, into the glass. The state, the container holds the state. And then you can pour the water out, and the container is still the container, and you can use it again. You can pour orange juice in it, and that's a different state, and the container's holding it. And you can pour the orange juice out and pour some soda in there. So when you realize you are the container, you are the 0 point in which everything gets poured into or added onto you. Exactly, the knowing you will never seek. You got it. So when you understand this, when you understand that you're the container, that's why you don't have to look outside of yourself. And when you go to 0 point and you go into this neutralization process, that the whole world could be blowing up around you as it's happening and you don't care, because you know that the reality that you want is coming. Now, you don't have to go into negative realities. It just means that when you're asking, you're in a negative state. You didn't zero out. That's all it is. You're not being tested. It's just wherever you initiate it from, the mind, the subconscious says yes. And if you're in a negative state, negative states produce negative states. You can't have a happy ending to an unhappy story. If we go into a happy ending and we reverse engineer it, at what point do you want to come back into the yuck? Because when you understand, I'll give you another example. I have a client who's doing a nutrition program, and she has a lot of extra skin and stretch marks from a previous version of her that had surgery and was heavier. And I said to her, when you woke up this morning, did you have surgery? And she said, no. I said, when you woke up this morning, were you that heavy? She said, no. I said, why are you carrying around the meat locker of the old version of you? Because you think there's some kind of consistency from past to present? No. You're still identifying with that old version of you. So therefore, her body keeps showing up here. Guys, do you get this? If it's not happening now, and this is what I learned with stretch marks. I've had 5 children and I had a lot of stretch marks. And one morning I woke up and I went, wait a minute, I didn't give birth to anyone today. Why do I still have these stretch marks when I know all the stuff about manifestation? So all I had to do is go to 0 point. And when I came out and activated an assumption, it was a version of me that still had the 5 amazing kids, but didn't gain the weight and didn't have the stretch marks. And you start to see things disappear. I've had so many things change on what I would call my body that would be impossible if the human experience was true. So you have to let go of the old version of you, because if today, right here, right now, that version has not produced what you've asked for, that's all they can produce. That's all that version can produce. You have to come out and know that there's a version of you that has an amazing backstory, that's been living the life both in the past and the future that you want. But you got to let go of the suffering you, or the you that has to sacrifice. There are stories where you're not going to win because you haven't. And that's where, when you learn 0 point, you step out of the duality of opposites, yes and no, up and down, I have it, I don't have it. And you go into the law of gender, which is active and passive. So I'll explain that real quick. When I was on this, there's these dots and they're absolutes. There's the sick dot, it's absolute. There's the healthy dot, it's absolute. There's the poor dot, it's absolute. There's the wealthy dot, it's absolute. And when you're on the healthy dot, there's only active and passive health. You're either actively experiencing health or nothing's going on and you're just healthy. You don't have to do anything to keep it. I don't run to be healthy. I don't work out to be healthy. I don't eat to be healthy. I just declared, I chose, I was healthy. I was done with the sick dot, had enough experience, been there, done that, don't want it anymore. Now, let me explain the sick dot to you, because you think there's one side is sick and the other side is healthy, and that's not it. It's active and passive sickness. Now, you know, when you're sick, when you're actively sick, you have that runny nose, you have the fever and what other symptoms. But passive sickness isn't health if you think you can get sick again. It's passive sickness. You just don't have active symptoms. And that's what the majority of people are walking around in, thinking that you're going from the sick dot to the healthy dot back to the sick dot. No, no, no. Healthy people do not get sick. It doesn't matter what's happening. I could walk through a field of malaria. I'm not getting it. I don't even have health insurance. I'm not getting sick. I'm on the healthy dot. I'm on the wealthy dot. And when you leave the old world of duality of have it, don't have it, and you go into active and passive, and the best way to do that is through 0 point, because when you come to 0 point, you can see the BS of your old story. Now, I will say this, all thought is BS, the worst thought and the best thought. And if all thought is BS, you might as well pick the good stories, because nothing exists until you say it. And when you're my client, you better watch what you say in front of me, because we have amplified energy here. And I'm like the magic genie that whatever you say, your wish is my command. So you would never come in and tell me, and I tell this to people, I don't care who you were prior to stepping on Zoom or being in front of me. What I want to know is, who are you? Where are we going? What? Because the moment that you tell me this is what you want, I'm like a pit bull and I latch onto it and I do not let go until you get your wish fulfilled. Sometimes I have to take my clients kicking and screaming over the wish fulfilled line, but we get there. It doesn't have to be that way. So with 0 point now, guys, I'm going to walk you through one. And it's the 3-minute activation. Again, it's in episode 4 and 5 of the 30-day series. And if you want to go deeper with me, this weekend, I'm having a 2-day online event, 6 sessions on Zoom. All of my links are always in the description box below. You get the deep dive series, the course that I've created for free. And I've just taken the fee down from $220 to $100. So we will be together for 6 sessions. We will go deep dive in the now. You'll get a dedicated jump off wheel, a dedicated wish fulfilled wheel, and a connector wheel. And you'll have a 3-month roadmap, which I will support you during those 3 months in our nurture group. And all of our sessions are recorded. So if that's something that you're interested in, we start on Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'd love to see you there because my clients get their wish fulfilled and they get it quick. I said, give me 3 months and you won't even be able to recognize your old reality because we're going to stay focused and you'll be using 0 point. Now, this is the thing that I'm going to suggest to you. Every hour on the hour, you set an alarm. You do your 3 minutes 0 point, and then you go about your day. And then an hour later, you set your alarm and you do it again. Because the more you deep breathe, the quicker your manifestations come. The more hydrated you are, the more that you take care of the vessel. This is the ground zero. This is the 0 point in physical reality because you take your little dot everywhere you go and you walk around this beautiful template. So what you're going to do is I suggest for the 0 point is you're going to sit up. And it doesn't have to be up. It could be a little relaxed, or if you want to do it lying down, you could do that, or a little reclined. But you're going to keep your eyes open. And you're going to find something, whether it's the screen in front of you or across the room. You want to find a focal point where your head is not up or it's not down. It's just very, very neutral. Like you don't have to hold it there. Now, you'll hear me say this all the time. No crisscross applesauce. So no legs crossed, no arms crossed. And you want to be nice and loosey-goosey, right? So that you're not tense. Just going to let all of the tension go. You can have your legs bent. You can have them straight out, whatever is comfortable for you, because manifestation is such a personal journey. I can only share to you what I do, and it works. And just like as a personal trainer, I would never ask you to do an exercise that I cannot demonstrate. I would never ask you to do something that I haven't done. And the thing about talking about 0 point is you're trying to put words on something that is beyond words. It's an experience that's beyond words. There are no words to truly get you to where you have to go into the experience. So for 3 minutes, you're just going to keep your eyes nice and loose. They don't have to be open, but you don't want them to close. You want them to stay open. This is not a closed eye meditation. I want you to be aware of the world around you. Now, I can do this a lot deeper when we do our 2-day event and we're on Zoom and it's a lot more private, or when we do our in-person events. And what you're going to do is you're going to breathe in through the nose, and it's going to be a nice deep breath, but it doesn't have to be an over deep breath. You're going to hold it for a few seconds, and then you're going to breathe out of the mouth with a ha sound, like a ha. And you want to let all the air out and then slowly breathe in. Now, I want you to pay attention to the breath, but I don't want the breath to become a chore that the conscious mind's coming in and goes, let me take that. Now, as we're doing this 3 minutes, the conscious mind is like a 3-year-old, and it's going to want, it's like, you know, mom's in the bathroom, mom. And it's going, what about this? And what about that? And what about, and don't worry if it hooks you and you go into a thought. You could always do this over again. This isn't about perfection. But that just means if those thoughts are still coming in, let them come in, let them pass through, but breathe deeper. And you'll find the breath that gets you to the point where there's no thought, but don't be looking for the thought. So it's just, you're going into the observer state. And when you're in this state, as you're doing the deep breathing, as you're letting you'll see that the outside world goes a little softer. I want you to notice how you become more and more aware of the breath, how the breath is in the body, and of the body itself. Now, when I teach lucid dreaming and I'm having you stay awake while your body falls asleep, your subconscious will throw some cues to see if you're truly asleep, because if you're not, you'll do something. So there'll be an itch. And when I tell you there's an itch, it's like the worst itch ever, because it wants to make you move. It wants to see if you're really asleep. So you have to trick it that you're asleep, but you're really consciously awake. So you may get those kind of sensations when you're doing this. That's all that's going on. And it can show up as an itch. It could show up as a tingle. It could show up in so many different ways. But the whole idea is you are the center of the universe. You are life itself. You are existence. And you are realizing that you are the container. You are the source. So I'm going to get my timer out here. So for 3 minutes on screen, I will not be saying anything. Get my timer. And again, your job is to breathe in through the nose, hold it out through the mouth. Don't be embarrassed to make the ha sound. You got to make the ha sound. Make the noise. Make the noise. It doesn't have to be over exaggerated. So I'm going to count you down. And then you'll hear my voice after 3 minutes, and I will slowly bring you back into this. Okay, get ready. In 3, 2, 1, and begin. All right. Slowly come back into focus. And what did you experience? Don't worry if you didn't get all the way through it. That's okay. Because as you go deeper into this experience and you practice the 3 minutes, when you go into 6 minutes and you get closer and deeper into the 6 minutes, you'll see the outside world turn cartoonish. It's all very trippy looking. You might get some trippy effects. And then by the time you get into that 9 minutes, I always say 0 to 3 minutes is for calm, 4 to 6 minutes is for clarity, 7 to 9 minutes is for consciousness, higher consciousness. And when you make this your practice and you go deep into the now and you come out, it's almost like you've forgotten, but you really haven't. You've just let go of that other version of you. If you've ever had those moments where you got up to go into the kitchen and get a drink of water, and by the time you walked to the kitchen, you forgot why you were there, that's a shift. When you forgot why you're doing something, you just shifted to a reality that that's not important. Now you can bring it back, you can induce that state back. But if your subconscious and conscious mind are always moving you to the preferred state that you want, don't go back. So when you come out of the 9 minutes, there's a lot of times where roughly around the 5 or 6 minute mark where you're surrendering thought and words, they're just gone. And it may feel very fearful in the beginning. And you got to get past that because it's just that old conscious mind burning off. And when you go into that higher state, all your thoughts and your questions get left behind and you just get swept up in this beautiful nirvana, this state of being. I don't know words to describe it. And you know exactly when to come back out. You won't stay there forever, but you know you're absorbing. And then when you come back into the body and into the reality again, I would always want to rush to get back into thought and word. And I learned from my experience, don't do that. And it would freak me out because I could think thoughts, but I couldn't say words. I couldn't form them to come out. Or if I did, it was all jumbled like word salad. Allow the acclimation back in. Allow that acclimation back in. And now you know for sure that you are in your wish fulfilled and not one other thought is needed on what you've asked for. And now the subconscious has populated, whether it takes a few minutes, an hour, it will be very natural to you and your storyline. But if you go back in and ask the question, you've just deactivated the reality that you took yourself to, and you're back into that reality you just came from. That's why no other questions, no other thoughts are needed. Allow for the space and time to unfold. Valtopia, hello, shared. Awesome. Great. Awesome. I'm glad that you're here. And Lilac, you had at first, you couldn't stop being silly. That's okay. Then I calmed down and felt ripple movements like a slight pulsing of breath. Yep, very slight. Wonderful. And if you've done it and you didn't get any reaction yet, that's okay. Even sometimes with myself, I'll have the thoughts come in and they'll pull me out of it. That's why if you're going to do the 2-day event this weekend, you want to make sure that when we're in those sessions, you will be uninterrupted, because there's nothing more frustrating than to be deep in the now and get a knock at the door or your phone goes off or whatever. But with this, the deeper you go into the breath and the deeper you allow yourself to, you still see this reality and it gets softer and softer and softer. But as you take the focus off reality and you're bringing it within yourself, that's what the going within is about, guys. And I always do this in a position that I'm not going to fall asleep. But if I do, I don't beat myself up about it, because the old reality didn't have enough energy left. And whenever you wake up, you're in a new reality, even though it looks a lot like this one. So I really don't like to take these lives over an hour. We're here every Wednesday, whether we're here on YouTube or we're in our private community. If you would like to join our private community, the link is in the description box below. If you'd like to join us on our 2-day event, the link is in the description box below. And with your registration, after you do the 2-day event, I reinvest it back in you because I practice mirrored reality. Your reality is always mirroring you. So if you invest in the Invincible CEO, we invest it right back into you in whatever product or service that you would like to purchase. So I'm very, very excited. Thank you guys for being here with your attention and intention. There's only so much that I can do in this kind of I know it goes, that's psychological times for you. That's when you know you're going deep. And this is the focus. It really did go fast. And the 2-day event is going to fly by. That's why I love the fact that we have them recorded. I love doing this. There are so many videos on this channel. I think there's almost like 400. I think about 200 might be short. So there's at least 200 videos here. There's so much more in our private nurture group. And it's a fun group of individuals. And we always have different challenges going on. So thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Thank you for sharing. If you're in a manifestation group and it's okay for you to share the channel, please do so. I appreciate you deeply. And I do have an affiliation program so that if you would like to make a commission, a thank you commission for sharing our wonderful products and services, you can also sign up for that. And I pay commissions out every month. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you deeply. Remember, the 3 little piggies, you don't want to be the straw piggy and you don't want to be the twig piggy. You want to be the piggy that builds the foundation. You want a strong foundation because you are it. You are life itself. You're not the techniques. You don't need the techniques. When you go deep in the now, you don't need them, but they're fun things to do. Just like when you go to the gym and you do the bicep curls, it's a technique. Is it needed? No, but if you're going to go to the gym, you want to have that gym experience. Thank you guys so much. If you missed any of our other lives tomorrow, when I can put on an end playlist, I will do that. But please explore the channel. There's so much here, and this is all for you because I want to see you win. I want to see you win big, and I want to see you win all the time. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Valtopia. And if you are the Val that just signed up, I need to talk with you about your email because it got bounced. So, all right, guys, I will see you next time. And as always, happy manifesting and enjoy.